Share with you my 3 favorite backswing drills, which I think can help every single golfer out there. And if you utilize the practice drills that I'm going to show you, I think you'll improve your backswing mechanics, which ultimately will improve your overall delivery of the club to the ball. I have 3 that I'm going to share with you today, and all of them I'm going to keep the HackMotion wrist sensor on my wrist at all times to show you how we can be using some of the checkpoints that I'm going to show you to influence the wrist movement and improve that efficiency of your golf swing. The first one that I like to work on is a drill where I preset the wrists in the backswing. The wrist movement throughout the entire swing can be quite complex. It can lead to a lot of issues for golfers who unknowingly move these wrists in the wrong way and don't really know how to fix it. HackMotion is a tremendous tool that will help you understand how your wrists move first and foremost, what is your pattern, and then it will give you specific ways in which to train to improve your wrist mechanics. Here's a great drill if you struggle with poor wrist motion in the backswing. Take your setup. I've placed a stick on the ground here, this yellow stick, which is really just parallel to my target line, sort of along the line of my feet, more or less along the direction that I'm trying to hit. And the reason it's on the ground in this position here is just to show you that I want you to preset the shaft onto that stick or above that stick. This position is referred to as P2 or position 2, and it's when the shaft is parallel to the ground in the backswing. From the front view, as I look at the camera here, I'm not going to move my arms and hands away from me. I'm literally going to keep the butt of the club, the top of the club in the same place, and I'm going to move my wrists to set the club on top of the stick. There's a very specific position that I'm achieving here with my wrists. My trail wrist is bending back, that's extension, it's moving backwards, and my lead wrist at the same time is moving into some flexion. You're going to see that on the HackMotion actually. If you look at my setup, there's a tiny amount of extension in my lead wrist, which would be quite normal for a neutral grip. There's a little bit of cupping here in the back of the wrist, very neutral, very standard. This would be 15 degrees of extension. When I stop this club at P2 and I preset my wrists on top of this yellow stick, you'll notice that the measurement now on HackMotion is reading 6 or 7 degrees of flexion. So I've no longer retained this same angle here. If I was to have retained 15 degrees of extension and swung back on top of this stick, gives me 15 degrees of extension, the club face would be more or less straight up and down. I don't want that. That's an open position. What I want when I turn back, if I don't have a HackMotion to check this, I want my shaft on top of the stick, I want the butt end of the club on top of the ball still, and I want the club face pointing slightly down towards the ground. That's my checkpoint. Once I'm here, I can go to the top and come back down, go to the top, come back down. This has organized my arms and wrists for me. It's got me into the right position. And for those of you that want to advance this drill, you can go ahead and just hit balls from this position. Now, as you probably heard with that one, I hit the ground quite heavy. I didn't quite time that. Swinging from a position like this can take a little bit of getting used to, and that's absolutely fine. Because once you get the feeling and the sequence of this movement, you'll see the benefits throughout your entire game. Set the wrists, shaft on top of the stick, club face pointing slightly down, butt end of the club, butt end of the grip still on top of the ball. Up to the top and back down. Try to retain those alignments. Go. There you go. It didn't take very long for me to click that into place. That feels tremendously powerful. High, push, draw, finishing on target. There's 170 yards. This is a 7-iron. 170 yards with a drill swing. Just shows you can get almost maximum distance, if not maximum distance, out of this exercise. In fact, for many of you, you'll find you hit it further doing this drill than you currently do, because this exercise is going to teach you how to put your wrists and ultimately the club face into that stronger condition and that stronger position for delivery. You're not used to it right now, but if you try that exercise, I guarantee your ball striking and your distance will improve. Quick question for you. Did you know that 80% of your golf ball's direction comes from the club face angle at impact, and it's your wrists that control that angle? If you want to hit straighter shots and add more distance to your game, then check out the link in the description below. For the second drill, you're going to need to set up a small station, which is a constraint regarding the movement of the hips. So when it comes to poor backswings, I'll often see golfers in the backswing moving their hips or swaying off the ball, something that might be familiar to you. We're going to put something in the way of that movement to stop it from happening. I'm using a small tripod here that has an extendable rod that comes out of it. I use this a lot in my lessons on a daily basis to create practice stations and training environments that create these constraints for players to work around. You could do this with a golf bag, you could stick a club out of your golf bag, you could conjure up some way of recreating this exercise. You can even do this at home without a club, just using maybe a chair or a table you have at home, or a stool that you could put just to the side of your right hip or your right leg. From this front view, you may see a little more clearly how I'm setting this up. I've got the stick positioned just off my trail hip, maybe an inch or two. There's a tiny little gap here between my right hip and the stick. And the goal here in this backswing exercise is to turn the hip, turn the right hip back and behind me, so that not only do I not touch this stick, that's point number one, you do not want to make contact with this stick at all. Point number two would be that this right hip, this rear hip, actually moves slightly away from this stick. We create a little more space and a little more room. That's going to help you to make a lovely centered turn from this front view, so no sway. And it's going to position your pelvis in a way that as you start down, you're in a much better position to get that weight moving forward. And that forward weight position at impact would be associated with the best ball strikers. Those of you who tend to sway and move off the ball tend to have your weight too far back at impact, causing you to hit fat shots and thin shots and struggle to make any sort of consistent contact. So the first thing would be to set up the station. The second thing would be to make some movements and some backswings where you keep this hip away. The movement you need to make sure you have is that this trail leg is straightening, so the right leg's getting straighter in the backswing, allowing the right hip to move up, back and behind you. You'll see that from down the line, that there's some daylight between my legs. I haven't kept my knees flexed. Keeping your knees flexed is one of the biggest pieces that causes this sway to happen. So again, get familiar with the movement first. Make a few reps. You can even make quite a number of reps here without a golf ball and just swing back and swing through. Swing back, don't touch the stick, and in the downswing, move your hips more forward. It's a great backswing exercise to train a centered pivot, which usually results in much more consistent, solid contact. So you see there, my weight stayed forwards and moved more forwards. Pretty good shot, slight overdraw, but pretty nice contact. And I'm going to find that if you do that regularly, you will really minimize the number of mishits that you have. You'll minimize the times that you hit behind the ball. Having your weight centered to slightly forwards is certainly preferable when it comes to better ball striking. So backswing, turn the hip away from the stick, come back down and go ahead and hit one. That one was even better than the first one. So you don't want to touch this. Get used to the movement of the hip in the backswing. Keeps you centered, puts you in position for shots like that. High, powerful, push draw. You're going to want to do it that way. Once you start to understand there's no sway, no shift in the backswing, you're going to unlock an entirely different level of golf and an entirely different level of ball striking. And final one from me on the backswing would be the tees under the arms drill. Putting tees or a glove or something underneath your arms and holding it there throughout the swing creates the ability to move your arms around your body without lifting them and getting them off plane. So many of you will struggle with backswings that are too vertical, lifting your arms, dropping the tees from underneath the position here. You can use tees, as I say. You can also use an old golf glove. Anything really that helps you to create this pressure, this attachment that you have between your upper arm, let's say the tricep, and your chest, let's say your pectoral muscles. You're just resting your arms on your side at the beginning of the swing, and you really want that pressure and that connection to remain in place throughout the swing. As I say, so many of you do not do that. You start out immediately by lifting your arms, and once your arms get off plane here, you're going to struggle with all sorts of things. Contact becomes a problem, you lose distance, and it's extremely difficult to control the direction of your shots. Golf is played on a tilted angle with the ball on the ground, but if we were to play it up here horizontally, you see how my arms and the club would move around me in this horizontal condition. Now, if I just tilt myself to the ground, you'll see how my arms are down on my body. They're not lifted. There's no reason to lift them, but golfers have learned to lift them through a desire to try to hit the ball further, which isn't necessary, or through needing to do so to accommodate another compensation. Placing something under your arms and hitting balls is a great exercise. You'll see many golfers on tour placing a towel under their arms, a golf towel. That's another way that you could do this. You could place a towel under your arms across the front of your chest and help you to make these connected swings. Start out small, keeping the pressure, trying to retain that feeling that your arms are touching throughout the backswing, into the downswing, and even into the follow through, although it's quite likely you'll start to drop the tees or the towel into the fullest follow through, but you should be able to retain the pressure of your arms and keep the tees throughout the backswing and the downswing and into impact. This is particularly useful for those of you who slice. You lift your arms generally, you swing from out to in. This drill will really help you to swing more on the correct angle and plane coming into the ball. It can really help to encourage a more into out swing pattern if that's what you're looking for, but it can also just help you to swing straighter into the ball. Keeping the arms down in the backswing and the follow through is a really good exercise to help train a more accurate golf swing. For many of you that will feel quite strange. I think how low you need to keep your arms can be quite shock to the system for a lot of you. But as I say, you can start out small, just use tees or a glove or a towel under your arms. And if you find it difficult to make a full swing to begin with, then just start out with your pitching wedge or your sand wedge, make some small swings. This is also a great exercise at building out those shorter pitch shots. So if you struggle with those shots, this exercise can be transferred to that skill as well. I hope you found this video useful. There's 3 ways you can practice your backswing, 3 specific drills to help you make a better backswing, which ultimately will help you to deliver the club in a more effective and powerful way. If you enjoyed the video and you'd like to learn more about HackMotion, how it works and how to train your wrists for better golf, then click a link in the description of this video. That will take you to more videos that I've made for HackMotion that will further enhance your wrist training.